Yo, hello guys, and welcome to the inaugural, very first online gaming community podcast. If you haven't met us before, we've come over from another website, which we'll tell you all about. But first, I'm here with two very special guests today that I wanted with me. First, you may know him already, is Mr. Matt Tifford.
Special is the word.
Yes, it is. And alongside him is our Irish friend, Mr. Johnny Mac.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
How are
indeed.
you? I'm Scottish, but I live in Dublin, so...
He resides in Ireland, and it's a very strong Scottish accent.
It's true.
So it's used to me fucking that up.
It's true. Thank you for the very kind welcome, and thank you for having me here. I'm looking forward to having a good chat with you guys.
Excellent. So, if you want a professionalism, as you can probably tell, you've come to the wrong place, but let's get on with it. Anyway, new website. You can find us at onlinegaming.community. I'll leave it to you two guys, to be honest. You're the masterminds behind what's going on. I don't know which one of you wants to take the floor, but talk us through the site. Talk us through why we're here.
Shall I go first?
Feel free.
All right then.
Sure.
Okay, so for anyone who may or may not know, because let's be honest, we didn't have many followers before. We used to be onlineFIFAleagues.com, offering FIFA leagues for the last 5 years, I think. Basically, over time, that site sort of became a little bit, should we say, dated, old-fashioned, and we had no way of updating it. So what we've done is we've scrapped that website. See you later. Built a brand new one with the help of Monty here, and we are looking to relaunch with not just FIFA but several other games as well.
Exciting times.
I know.
Indeed. So, where's Monty come from?
Well, it's a complicated question.
Right. Okay. Well, Monty, do you want to? How did you get on board? Because towards the end of RFL, you weren't involved, were you?
No, I wasn't. So, to be honest, it's been something that's, I guess the best way I can describe it, it's been something that's been part of my life for 12 years now. I mean, the community has its roots back in 2000 and 2004 when Pro Evolution Soccer 4 launched on Xbox Live, and that's ultimately where the kind of the breeding ground for this community came from, because at that point in time there was a website, and I'm going to try and make this as short as possible because it can get quite in depth, as you can imagine. 12 years is quite a long period of time, but ultimately there was a website called Evil League, another former member, and I guess that, I mean, if we're going to be open and honest about everything, I think we would need to say the founder of the community, which is a gentleman called Craig. His nickname was Seeps. So EvilLeague.net was something that Seeps had started up back then to play online leagues. And nobody was doing it back then. I mean, you need to remember, this is the first time that any sort of football simulation went online. Ultimately, the way that it was set up was you play the first half on one connection, second half on another. And, pretty much what Konami's still doing at some point, at the moment. Although, albeit in a little bit more technologically advanced methods. But back then it was quite literally as simple as that. But that game was incredible. I mean, everybody that plays football simulations know how good Pro Evolution was back in the day. But every single person that played it was a PlayStation 2 user, I mean, to play it online, we had to learn this new control pad or buy these converters that let you use your PlayStation pad and your Xbox. But the community burst because, just to clarify, when I say burst, I mean exploded in a positive sense. Just quite literally because nobody else was doing it. So before we knew it, there was a league full of people. We started doing different things, kind of like what you guys are doing now, in the sense that we mixed up different games. So we played a lot of poker, we played a lot of football. We did, I'd say, about 3 or 4 seasons, and then they kind of relaunched the site into PESandpoker.com, which was a marketing genius from Craig. The site was really, really good. We did a lot of poker leagues. We did continue with the kind of core Pro Evolution league software. I'd say this is probably when Matt kind of came in. Just to clarify, at this point in time, Craig and I were the two admins. We then launched PES360.com. PES360.com was when I think it was taken to another level. And Matt, I believe, if my memory is serving me correctly, this is when you joined the community.
It was indeed.
PES360.com was a fantastic website, and it was quite ahead of its time in the sense that we had a lot of functionality. And you need to remember, this is like 2006, 2007, 2008. I mean, technology was still pretty good back then, but nowhere near what it's like right now. So to think of the kind of automated league software that we had back then. We also had a help desk centre for anybody to raise tickets with that needed help or anything like that. It was quite a technologically advanced website for its day. And this is when the community started to get, I would say, a little bit more of a personal feel to it. This is when, we had Matt on board. We still had the kind of core group of people that came through the Evo League sense, but we also had people like Zamo join, Blue Boz, some of the Cletors. You'll hear all these names we mentioned that probably mean nothing to you, but these are a lot of the people that kind of took what was essentially a little kind of basic website that offered leagues and played poker to something that grew quite significantly to the extent where we were even regularly competing against other websites, for, the kind of title of the best league website out there, which was really, really cool. I think at one point, Matt, on PES360.com, we actually had, 3 or 4 leagues on the run at the same time, and there was a lot of players there,
I think we had about 20 players in each division at least.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, Matt, what are your recollections from back then? Because it was a long time ago.
Didn't we have a cross-platform league? Because you could play PS2 against PC on Pro Evo back then. So we had a lot of PC players as well.
That's absolutely right. That was when PES 6, PES 6, when PES 6 launched. Yeah, that's when we flipped, wasn't it? That's when we went. In fact, that's a really good point in the timeline, because that's when the website changed from PES360.com to PES365.com, and that was to facilitate the fact that you could play online on PES 6 cross-platform. So a lot of the guys were playing the PS2 and PC version, and then there was another big bunch of guys that continued with the PES leagues on 360. So I mean, at that point in time, the growth was ridiculous. We're probably going to hit a time in the timeline now where we see the Pro Evolution starting to take a little bit of a dip. I mean, I can remember, Matt, very, very vividly playing you on PES 2008 on the PS3, and the only way I can describe it is we were teleporting like all over the pitch. Like, I mean, it was
probably one of the worst football games ever made.
I think,
considering PES 6 was possibly the best ever made. I don't know how they did it. Such a jump.
As if they just... It was ridiculous. I think for PES 6, and I'm not going to pretend to know the ins and outs of Konami, but from what I remember, the PES 6 engine was very much still the engine that they had created PES 1, 2, 3 on, whereas PES 2008 was a new engine, and this was like a big risk for them, and it didn't pay off. And this was funny because, and you read about this in the kind of history of online gaming write-ups that I did a couple of years ago, these guys... they had it all. They were the kings of football, and then out of nowhere, they just dropped the ball. And I think, Matt, you correct me if I'm wrong, but was it the Euro 2008 EA game that was the first one we actually thought, we played it and thought, hold on a minute, this is actually pretty good.
I think so, because EA bought their new engine in for FIFA 7, was it? Maybe 07 and 08. And by the time they got to Euro 2008, they were getting somewhere. And then FIFA 09 was a massive jump again. Oh. That was a really good game.
It was mind-blowing. And I think that this another important part of the timeline is this is when PES 365 ceased to exist. PES365.com, which was, the 4th iteration of the site, and then 365footy.com became the website. Seems to change the name of the domain over just to incorporate the fact that PES wasn't the king anymore. People wanted to play FIFA 2009, and it felt a little bit dirty at first. And I think this is probably when I had a bit of a break, because I don't know, I just didn't. It was good, it felt good, it played good online. You weren't teleporting anywhere. You could score goals that felt different. And this is going to sound a little silly, but. And we kind of joked about this back at the time, Matt. I don't know if you remember, but probably I think Edge was definitely the pioneer of this. When you scored in PES, the sound of the goal hitting the net was beautiful. And FIFA didn't have that. FIFA was there then, but it just didn't feel like it was there yet. It didn't have all the little quirks that I came to love. So I think, to be honest, I took a little bit of a hiatus at that point. That would have been, 2008, 2009. And I came back and played FIFA for the first time in about 6 or 7 months, and Matt, I believe, destroyed me, because I didn't know at this point that, your defensive pressure and all that shit mattered, right? So I'm just like going gung-ho and leaving all this space in the back, and every day I play, and bearing in mind I hadn't played it for months, everybody was just mauling me, like 7, 8, 9-0, and I'm like, geez, it took me about 3 months to realise defensive pressure was something I could turn down. Crazy. But yeah, and ultimately, there was a few problems with 365footy.com and the direction of the website, kind of like what you guys have just experienced with OFL. At which point, a few of us kind of broke away and started the SGC, which was the fun gaming community, which ultimately was something that Matt, Zamo, Edge, and I ran for a long time. And to be honest, stuff in my life just kind of started going a little bit crazy. I'd, started getting good jobs, which was incredible at the time. And I didn't have the time anymore, so I kind of took it over and rebranded it to the OFL, and that kind of ties in with, what everybody listening and what you on the call, Dar, will understand is, what happened from then on in, because the OFL launched, very successful, great platform, and great community, and it's kind of merged across to where we are today. So I hope that wasn't too long of a background. If anybody didn't know the background, then hopefully that will kind of cover it for them. But ultimately, this community means a lot to me, especially in times. There's been times in my life when things have been tough, and to rely on and lean on good friends like Matt and Alex and Chris, and things weren't going great, was a pillar of support I'd never had in the real world at the time. So it's more than just a website to me. It's more than just a football gaming community. It's more than just a couple of guys playing games.
Unfortunately, it appears that John has just dropped out at that point. To apologise if there's been any connection problems so far when you've been listening. But a very good point. I'm sure he'll join back in a second. I think the point for me, that didn't feel like that was long. That was incredibly interesting listening to that history. I mean, for me, I've been on the site since 2013, which actually, if you look at a calendar, is quite a distance ago now. Yeah, I had no idea about how far back it went and how many different channels it's gone past. And I mean, for me, FIFA 09 was one of the first FIFAs I bought, which was when I was sort of coming towards the end of secondary school, when I was sort of 15, 16 years old. So I never knew the life of PES. I've always been involved in FIFA, and it's funny that the community was so PES orientated until that point. There was almost a big break off when it became FIFA after sort of PES and FIFA, and we now find ourselves at a point where, again, we've gone off of FIFA and PES is starting to come back in again, and it's sort of a 50-50 divide on the site, and it looks as if, the way that FIFA is going at the moment, it may well do a full circle and go back to PES in the near future. A couple more points I just want to quickly raise on what John had said there. I think the community aspect, he was saying with you, Matt, when you got involved, was it PES365.com the first time you got involved?
PES360, the one before.
PES360, do apologise. So close, so similar to one another. But you're right, John said at that point it became a lot more personal for him, and it became a lot more of a personal community. Now, even though it was groundbreaking back in 2004, 2005 to have these sort of these leagues set up online, it was something that hadn't been done before. We find ourselves in 2016 at the moment, and it's the community that we have. This has come from the OFL, came from the fun gaming community, friendly gaming community, whatever it is. The online gaming community. The main selling point about us is, although it's a competitive league, it's really quite non-competitive. The point is we're all on here to have a laugh and have a good time. And that's kind of what the problem with OFL was towards the end. It was not so much the problem of attitudes with people. It was kind of that the community just needed to start afresh and sort of go back to their roots. Like there are other websites on there. I don't want to advertise other people because it's not for us to do so. But there are other leagues at our size, and if you go up to people like Gfinity that have massive leagues, if you go on them, you're not there to make friends. You're not there to have the community aspect of it. Like John said, there's been so many important aspects going through his life where he's had this sort of personal thing to rely on. I've said myself in this podcast, I've said myself in posts and this. I mean, I'm coming back from a 6-month hiatus myself, the longest I've been off the site since I've been with the site. But it's the case of you have people you can talk to, you have friends you can talk to. Like, we all have issues in our lives, we've all been through stuff, but it's another way of having friends. Other than sort of probably 2 friends in my real life, I know most of you lot better than I know anyone else, which, if you look at it that way, it can be a little bit depressing. But it's not. It's good to have that community, it's good to have that aspect, and if you're looking for that sort of thing from a website, from a gaming community, then this is definitely the community for you to get involved in, because that is its main selling point by far. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's you've covered it pretty well, but that's always been the goal. I mean, there's a lot of leagues out there, a lot of websites. There are bigger leagues, there are more competitive leagues, but I think what we offer as a community is quite unique, and it's the chance to get away from that sort of. I don't want to say it's non-competitive. It is competitive, but it's within reason. You don't want to be playing those people online who will do anything to win, which I think is what you find on most websites.
Yeah,
I agree completely. I think my use of non-competitive there was probably towards my own style of FIFA, where I know I'm going to be towards the bottom of the table, so I'm probably in less of a chance than other people, which is probably why I use that term. But I think you're completely right, and I think that is the best selling point about the website. John, are you back with us?
I am indeed. My internet connection is mocking me today, so apologies.
It's not a problem. It's something that we experience quite a lot.
One of the things that, I mean, obviously I kind of caught the tail end of what you guys were saying there, but I kind of roughly have an idea of where it came from. I mean, it's a very powerful thing, having a community of people that not only enjoy, chilling out together and enjoying each other's company and having a laugh, but, we live in a digital age. This is an extension of friendship. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be a geeky or sad thing now. I mean, this is quite literally, we have relationships with people in this environment that the children of today are going to see as normality, but we were living and grew up in this generation where we saw it become reality. So we came from the whole, real friends and online friends. I mean, those two things don't exist anymore. It's just friendship, and I think that's something we always had, and it's something I hope that we always will have. And for me personally, I think that since I moved to Dublin in 2009, and I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the world, from Full Tilt Poker to EA themselves, Microsoft, Wonga.com more recently, to having my own businesses, and it's now that the last, I'd say, 9 to 12 months have been incredibly stressful in our family. My dad's, he's got bowel cancer, he's not got long left. My wife had pancreatitis, which, if you don't know what it is, read up on it, it's mental, fucking crazy. Didn't even know what the pancreas did until then. There's been a lot of stuff going on, at home with me, with running 3 businesses. And do you know what I missed? I missed a work-life balance. I missed a non-stress balance. So, I mean, I'm going to start engaging again as a player to hopefully, balance that out and have fun in my life again, rather than just a continuous wall of worry and stress and working. And I think that's incredible. It's a very powerful thing to have. So thank you for allowing me to come back and experience that, because, it's an amazing thing.
I don't want to... my response to that, I mean... To follow that is difficult. I don't wish to cheapen anything you just said, because it came from the heart. I mean, you're right completely. It's an incredible way to look at it, the way that you just have looked at it. Just the aspect of going into the digital age. You're right. This is how people make friends now. This is how people communicate. Like, at the end of the day, we might have been the cool form of uncool before uncool became a thing a few years ago. But you're completely right. Like, we all have stuff going on in our spare lives. By Christ, you've just won top trumps. Like, you've had far bigger issues going on for you, John, than certainly I myself can say that I have. But we are all in the same boat, and we are all in this community. Like you, although I may not have been away for as long, you just come back to accepting arms. You come back and you're just part of the community immediately. There's no love lost or anything like that. It's a family. That's the word we should be using. It's an online family, and it's incredible to be a part of. Indeed. So, we'll move on from that. I think at the end of the day, that was incredible, and very much enjoyed listening to that. If possible, we can go into the history again in future if other people want to listen to it and maybe have a bit more detail than what we've just had. But let's wind on to 2016. Let's wind on to the present, and let's talk about the site as it currently is. So there are 2 leagues that are currently on the website. Matt, maybe if you want to talk us through this. It looks like it's a PES and FIFA divide at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a 50-50. I think some people have seen the light, as I like to put it, and have gone to PES, and some are still stuck on FIFA. But that's fine, we'll cater for both, because we're nice like that.
Yeah, I mean, from a design perspective, it was anything that you see on the website's not stuck in stone. It's not, this is the way it is and it has to be. This was a case of, Matt had spoken to us about what he wanted to accomplish, the functionality he was looking for, and, this was our way of getting it together as quickly as possible, to be brutally honest. So everything that you see is kind of a placeholder. So, I mean, it's very much open to customization, and it's very much open to the improvement. So that was, for no other reason than I needed to fill 2 big blocks of space on the homepage that we put the 2 leagues in there. But anything you guys want to do, we can certainly make those adjustments and push whatever live.
Yeah, I think we want to look at Project Cards was a game we were playing on the old site. I think we'd like to do that again. Maybe get more people involved, have a race championship. We had a Football Manager game yesterday, which maybe Dazza will tell us about.
Yeah, that was part of the community nights. I want to say project community nights, I guess. We'll go into that. It's a separate section in a bit. It's going to take us slightly off topic at the moment, and I'm going to get slightly depressed on how badly I did. But so Project Cars looks like it could be a championship as well. Then there was a lot of.
We're actually playing it.
I'm not.
If you like drive, get involved.
Yeah, that comes down to me being poor at the game rather than the game being poor.
I kind of always seen driving as an expensive hobby, to be honest, growing up. So, I mean, I don't drive. I have 3 brothers who are all, significantly younger than me that all fucking drive, so it's a little bit depressing. They're not better than me in any way, but suddenly they can do something that I can't. So if I start driving, it's going to be because that fucking annoys me, rather than I want to drive. But no, I mean, I like kind of arcade style racing games. My wife's a big fan of Need for Speed, that sort of stuff. I don't really like getting too technical in racing games. Like, I know that a lot of the communities in the past would have played a lot of F1, GT. Not my thing. So it depends. If Project Cars, I kind of have fun, accelerate and crash into things and try and win a race, yeah, I'd probably give that a bash. But if it's like a little bit too methodical, and it probably wouldn't be my thing. But I'll check it out. Is it like is it an online only game? Is it like an indie developer? Because I've not heard much about it. Maybe I've just been asleep.
No, it's online and offline, but it's very much what you described as not interesting to you.
Okay, so
it's a simulator. It's not an arcade.
Okay.
I'm not sure who the developer is. It's not an indie game, certainly.
No,
do you know what? I have no idea.
It's not a major developer, though, I don't think. It was it not crowd?
I see you guys mentioning it a lot.
Something.
Certainly put together well, anyway, whoever it was who did it.
Maybe give it a wee bash, see what the deal is.
So, other games we're talking about on the site. I know some people like to chuck the egg around in the old Madden. Yeah, is there any ideas for a league behind that?
Well, there's a connected franchise running at the moment, but in terms of the way that works, it's mostly done in-game. All the league tables and the transfers and all that is done within the game, so there's not a lot to display on the website, but it is still something that we're running. So if it's something that interests people, they can still join in with that.
Certainly something that can be discussed in the forums anyway.
Yeah. And, written news and articles and updates on our homepage. Even videos.
There you are. So if NFL is something that interests you, get involved in that. Other games that we play on the site, obviously there are odd times that we get together and have a bit of GTA, which normally ends in quite a fair bit of carnage.
Starts with carnage.
It starts with carnage.
Is there carnage in the middle?
Yeah. You know what? Yes, there is. So there's that. There's been Rocket League has been something that's happened before in the past. We've been talking about maybe getting back together and doing that. But that kind of brings me back to the point that Matt's already mentioned of community nights. So if there's any game that we haven't got a league dedicated to, or even if there is still the chance of doing one-off tournaments and this sort of thing. Whose brainchild was this? Was this Flux's idea?
I don't like to give Flux credit for anything.
Yeah, I don't either, which is why I've asked the question.
He took the initiative and set up the first one for Football Manager, so might have to give that one to him, unfortunately.
Well, he's done something useful in all the time he's been on the site, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So there you go. So the last night we took part in the first one, which was the Football Manager draft mode. There were 6 of us available for it. You yourself were there, Matthew, along with me. We had TJ, we had DT, we had Flux, and we had Ethan. Essentially what we did was we had a budget of 250 million, picked them all in a draft style mode. That's where draft comes from. Think of NFL, NBA, any American sport where they have a draft. You put the best squad you can together, you play each other twice in a mini league, and congratulations to DT who came out on top. It took about 3.5 hours, something like that.
It's about 3 hours, I think, including draft time, which is not bad.
Yeah, which isn't bad. Very enjoyable. It was a very good evening.
It was.
Despite the fact that some of us didn't do quite as well as what we wanted. And Colton Cole is a prick.
Oh, some great old gems in the draft.
There were some absolute amazing picks. Unfortunately, I had none of them.
Well,
apart from Phil Bardsley.
I thought I had one, but then it turned out he was useless.
Yeah.
Jesus, Phil Bardsley. He actually played for Rangers for like a season and a half. I think we got him on loan from Man United at the time. What a lunatic.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think the rest of the Scots kind of enjoyed his presence last night, especially TJ. He managed to put 9 goals against me in 2 matches thanks to his defending, but that's as much attention as I'm giving to TJ. He doesn't need the ego boost. But very enjoyable. I'd like to see that come back again, whether we can get more of us together. I think there was only 6 available for a league, wasn't it?
I think that's the max, but you can have knockout tournaments with more players.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if we had like leagues alongside each other and the winners go into another league and the losers, if we put a whole evening aside for it. But certainly would like it to come back. There are other votes going on at the moment for other games you want to play. There is actually a vote live at the moment. Games that are being discussed are GTA, as we said before, Rocket League, as we said before, and we've got Gary's Mod, Counter-Strike Go, and Call of Duty. There is gaming there for both the PS4 and the PC, so it doesn't matter which platform you'll be playing on, unless it's Xbox. Which actually comes to another point. In terms of the future of the site, guys, are we looking to incorporate PC gaming and Xbox in terms of leagues?
Something that's very interesting, as we've seen the last week, is you might not have to. I mean, if this whole cross-platform thing actually becomes a reality, then, I mean, it's going to change the gaming landscape completely for the rest of our lives. I mean, whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. We've heard about it for so many years. I mean, I don't hold out much hope, so, I mean, I guess it is a realistic conversation you guys need if it happens.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess you're right. If it is ever going to come true and actually be a possibility, then that's something that, especially in terms of sort of, formatting the site and the way the site looks and gameplay against each other, it would make things very easy, and I'm sure the size of the community would grow by quite a large amount, to be honest, if that were to occur. But yeah, in the meantime, we are a PS4 based community. Before we move on to factors off the site, Matt, you are part of the club on FIFA, the Pro Club.
Oh yes.
I hear you made an achievement recently.
We won a thing.
Woo! Congratulations, Jason.
We were in the FIFA Club Championship Pro League, and we won our section, which was Northern Europe. Just last weekend, 26 games. We only lost 1. I don't know what happened. This doesn't make sense. Anyway, we have still got a playoff to play. I believe we have to play winners of the other leagues, the other European leagues, to become the overall champions of the universe. But that should be happening in the next couple of weeks. Very exciting.
That is a title that you obviously want to bring home, Champions of the Universe.
Kind of like He-Man, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But we used to be on FVPA as well, which kind of closed down and has since reopened. So that may be something we're looking to go back to for next season.
Nice.
The clubs thing, I mean, I loved clubs. I'll be honest, it was probably
the best mode in FIFA.
Yeah, it was the one mode even back then when I was on with you guys every night playing the back, that's the 09, 10. It was just, I'm not interested in playing anything else. Like, I mean, it was just fantastic. absolutely fantastic. And we always talked about how it would be great if we could get a team full of people. It's incredible to see that that's what you guys have got now. You've actually got a full team rather than, me, Alex, Blue Boys, a few of the Cletors, and then Matt going any. That was pretty much what our clubs was like for years, But it's great to see you guys have a full team. That people that take it seriously, if you're left centre mid, play left centre mid. If you're right back, play right back. That's fantastic. Great to see. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my return the other night. I scored a goal. I missed a sitter. A few rapes. Is what it is.
Yeah, I think Flut's got your miss recorded for the next video. You'll be pleased to know. Didn't save the goal. Just the miss from 4 yards.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, I think that's the good thing you point on that as well. It's got the good work-play balance again. It's got the competitive nature that everyone sticks to their positions, but it's not over-competitive. It's not if you have a bad game. There'll be banter, obviously. You're not going to get away with it if you do a fuck-up one way or another, but you're going to want to come back and play again. Is there any availability in new signings for the club? Is everyone welcome, Matt?
Anyone who is registered on the site can join the club. We don't actively go out recruiting people. But the only requirement really is that you're a member of the community.
There we go.
Yeah, and if you're a goalkeeper, you've got a very good chance because we don't have a goalkeeper.
I feel like my services are being called back.
No, we want someone who's actually capable in goal. Please.
Oh, a few bad performances 2 versions ago. I'm never going to get back in. That's brilliant. Right, so. A new case for the podcast, now that we've moved over to OGC. I'd like to have a discussion in each one about an aspect of real-life football at the moment, and as we are in a topsy-turvy, crazy Premier League at the moment, and the title race looks like it's going to be won by an outsider, I want to know your guys' opinion on that. So I'll start with you, John. Who is going to win the Premier League?
I think Leicester are going to win it, and I think that it tells us something that I guess if you follow the finances of football, you've probably already known for a while. But we're moving into an era where the money that's in the Premier League dwarfs everything else on the planet, that I think we're going to see this happen more often than not in the future. I think there's so much money in that league now that this is not going to be something that's only going to happen once every 10 years. I mean, we probably need to go back to, Blackburn? To the last time something like this has happened, a long time ago. But the money that's in that league now is just dwarfing even what it was back then. I think there's so much money there that any team can put on a run like this in any given season. Now, the rules of variance tell you that the bigger teams with the bigger resources, with the better players, are going to win more often than not. If you take it over the course of 10, 15 years, yeah, we're going to see the Chelseas, the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Liverpools. I don't like even putting Man City in that bracket because I feel they're manufactured. I don't think they deserve to be there, but the finances have dictated they are, so it is what it is. They are now one of the big clubs. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Everton to do it in the next 3 years, or maybe even a West Brom. I think it's going to get unpredictable. There's so much money there, guys. It's just so much money. How can you not make a quality team with the sort of money you've got available, even if you finish, 14th last year, the amount of money you're going to get? How can you not build a quality team with that amount of money? So, yeah, it's intriguing. I think they're going to win it. I definitely think they're going to win it.
I think they will. I think it's probably the biggest upset in the history of the Premier League since it was created. You probably have to go back to Forest when Brian Clough won everything in his first season, to the last time a team that unfavoured actually won the league. And that's what, 30, 40 years ago?
That was middle of the 1970s, I believe.
Yeah, 40 years.
Fair old time ago. I think you're both right. I think what John's saying as well is it's not even like it's just Leicester. That's not the reason we should be getting excited right now. I mean, Tottenham, DT will know this, but Tottenham have not finished above Arsenal since the inception of the Premier League back in 1992. So for them to even finish above Arsenal is starting to get a little bit crazy. The fact that they are Leicester's closest rivals, and for me, the only team that could possibly pit Leicester this year, you've only got to look down to 5th place at the moment, West Ham have got a good chance of getting in the top 4. Whether they'll do it or not, maybe not. But the likelihood is they're going to finish above Manchester United, Liverpool and Chelsea. West Ham have gone away to Arsenal this year and won. They've gone away to City this year and won. They've gone away to Liverpool this year and won. They've gone away to Chelsea and drawn. Like, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And you're right, with the money that's coming in, this league is going to get projected and it's going to be greater than any other. Like, just look at the management for next season. Guardiola taking the City job. Looks like Conte's taking the Chelsea job. Mourinho's probably going to take the United job.
Well, it was announced yesterday, pre-contract is signed with Man United. So if they don't offer him the Man United job before the end of May, he gets paid $5 million. If they don't offer it before the end of June, he gets paid 10. So he's signed a pre-contract with Manchester United. So I mean, unless they just want to throw away more money for the sake of it, then Mourinho's going to be there next year.
Exactly. You've got 4 of the greatest managers in world football at the moment, and you've got up-and-coming managers. I keep mentioning West Ham. You've got Bilic there, who's done a very good job. You've got Koeman at Southampton, who's got the knowledge. He's been there before. It's crazy, and the money that's in this league will filter out below as well. English football will become stronger. The Championship will become stronger. It's a very exciting time to be following football in this country.
It really is. I mean, if you look at the league positions at the moment, I mean, I know Chelsea had a bit of a rocky start. Personal opinion, I think a few of those players were maybe inside that physiotherapist at some point, and they maybe just down tools. When Mourinho probably found out, thought, right, fuck this, let's get this weapon out of here. And then John Terry and his little fucking band of merry men thought, no, Jose, we're gonna teach you a lesson. I think they down tools on the guy, and I think that he's going to come back with a vengeance next year. You're absolutely right. The quality of manager that's in that division is incredible. And to think so many people mocked Leicester when they announced Ranieri, like they mocked them. I mean, especially, I know a lot of people that follow English football. I know a lot of people that follow Scottish football. One of the biggest football communities at the moment that I would go on would be follow.com, the Rangers website. And they talk a lot about every type of football, not just Rangers. And the size of the thread on that message board mocking Ranieri when he was appointed is ridiculous. I mean, and people are just bumping it back up now, going, lol, that you feel like a fish now. It's incredible. But just to go back to what I said previously, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Swansea do it in 3 years, or a Norwich do it in 5 years, or a Stoke do it in 6 years. And I think, to re-emphasise the point, look at who's close to the relegation zone but not quite there. I'd say Swansea, Watford. You see if you were to take Watford, right, and put them in the Dutch Eredivisie or put them in the Portuguese League, they would fucking win it. That's how much money is in the Premier League. It's ridiculous. It's intriguing for me because, in one hand, I'm a big Rangers fan. I've always been a big Rangers fan. That's blue blood you would get if you cut me open. Don't cut me open. I don't want to. It did frustrate me for a long time, and I kind of speak on behalf of Celtic fans as well, because they can't speak for themselves. Is that one thing that tends to happen is that we would always have the facilities to kind of buy the best players in Scotland, but over my lifetime, especially over the last 15 years, I'd say that there's always been a little bit of frustration that, you know, how can a Norwich City or a West Bromwich Albion afford to buy a player at 12 million, but teams as big as Rangers and Celtic cannot, and that for a long time pissed me off, because to me there's no question about the difference in size of the clubs. I think that you know, Rangers and Celtic would be, you know, significantly higher, massive clubs in comparison to these other teams. But the money that's in that Premier League, because it's a marketing machine. And they've done the same thing with darts, because they turned darts into an incredible multinational sport that everybody watches. It's the second highest thing on TV on Sky. But the Premier League, I mean, as soon as the kind of Sky market machine got behind us, I mean, it's just erupted. So yeah, I do think the next 5-10 years are going to be exciting for football fans in general. I don't follow an English team. If I had to pick one, it probably would be Man United, just because my dad actually played for Preston North End when he was younger, and he would have, when he lived in that area, he went to a lot of Man U games, so he tried to kind of make me one of them when I was young, but they're more of a second team than anything else. So, I mean, when I watch the Premier League, I tend to watch it with my eyes open and I'd say a bit of a neutral. I mean, there's not any boring games anymore. I mean, even if you're just flicking through something, Super Sunday, you see that Swansea are playing Bournemouth, I'd still watch it because I know the quality of football is going to be good. I genuinely believe that the Premier League is just in a whole other stratosphere than anything else on the planet at the moment. It's ridiculous. But it's fun for a football fan, right?
As long as it doesn't implode.
I don't think it will. And look at how much they're selling the rights to even Asia. Look how much the Premier League rights are getting sold for to the Eastern Asian countries and the North African countries. I mean, you're getting more money in that league from the North African broadcasters buying the rights to the games than the Portuguese league gets from their own country. I mean, it's crazy, like, it's mental. But it works. The marketing machine works. It's strange that they always seem to fucking bottle it when they go up against, European teams, though, in the Champions League. It's intriguing. Because on paper, they should wipe the floor with anybody. Most of these teams in this league.
Oh, they should, but I mean, if you look at the top teams man for man, they're still not on a par with Bayern Munich or Barcelona.
But they're the exception rather than the rule, right? I mean, if you pick another 3 teams from the Bundesliga or 3 teams from
I think the other thing you can argue with that as well is in 2 or 3 years will that be the case? I don't think it will. Not with the TV money that's coming in at the end of this season, with the man managers that are coming over. Yeah. I think the players will follow suit as well. There are already rumours of players coming over this summer coming.
Yeah, I mean some of the best players I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years have progressed through relatively large teams on the continent and joined what I would see as mediocre teams in the Premier League. Why is that? Well, look at Ozil. How would he go from Real Madrid to, well, due respect to Arsenal? I mean, why? I mean, should he not be aiming higher than that? Hey, I'm sorry, Arsenal fans. I'm not saying that you're a small team, you're a small club. You're not. You're huge. But I mean, take into consideration the last 2 decades, you aren't at the level of Man United, Chelsea, and to a lesser extent now Man City.
Well, Alexis Sanchez went there as well.
Yeah, I mean,
from Barcelona.
Exactly. I mean, if you see that if you go through the Premier League squads, if you look at Bournemouth squads, Watford squads, Swansea City squads, Norwich City squads, you'll see players in there that would walk into any Valencia team, any Ajax team, any even Dortmund team. It's crazy. I think a lot of people's expectations have dropped now. I mean, if I'm a player and I'm plying my trade on the continent, and I'm getting the opportunity to join a mid-table Premier League team, quadruple my wages in the first year, there's going to become a point where your personal goals and your personal growth goals are going to come second to the money that some of these teams can throw at you. I mean, because it's scary. I mean, look at the bottom 3, Aston Villa and Newcastle, massive clubs. They're huge. They are. And Arsenal fans are probably like, fuck's sake, you're saying Arsenal were shit a minute ago. I mean, I'm talking about in comparison to other teams in the Premier League. I mean, to me, Newcastle and Aston Villa are much bigger clubs with much richer tradition and history than West Brom or Bournemouth. But the league positions don't lie, right? I just think that it's going to be quite unpredictable. Over the course of an extended period of time, you will see the big teams win more often than not. But just to kind of go back to what I said at the outset, I would not be surprised to see Stoke City, and they're not far off it at the moment, or a West Brom pull a run like Leicester have pulled in the next 3 to 5 years. I just wouldn't be surprised to see it. And it's good for the game.
Well, yeah, Stoke have signed some players I would never have thought they could get. I mean, players like Bojan and Afellay. You think?
Yeah, they've got 5 or 6 Champions League winners are in their squad at the moment.
Shaqiri, he was at Bayern Munich.
And that's a perfect example of what I was just talking about a minute ago. I mean, some of these, what we would have seen as world-class players, are now starting to, see a way into maybe a mid-table side or mid to top table side as being a relatively straightforward choice for the career.
Well, it's a good chance for them to advertise themselves as well.
Yeah.
Look what I'm doing at this mid-table team. I can step up to the big teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think it's not a bad thing. I mean, if English football has been a spectacle for a long time, what's happening now with Leicester is really taking that spectacle and amplifying it to the extent where all these people that buy all these subscriptions, they get them access to English Premier League games from all over the world. It's always been like that for a long time, but now they're actually tuning in as well, so the ratings are going through the roof, even in comparison to what they were, which was still pretty huge, because everybody can't believe this has happened. They can't believe that Leicester City, I mean, they're 8 points clear, like. I mean, it's crazy. And I agree with Daz. I mean, the only team that can catch them, Spurs. Arsenal are not going to do nothing. I mean, they're the bottle merchants. I don't have anything against Arsenal. I know it sounds as though I do, but I don't. Spurs are realistically the only team that can catch them, but it's kind of similar to what's happening in Scotland, where a lot of people are saying, you know what, Aberdeen are really pushing Celtic this year. Aberdeen go out and do the fucking difficult thing and beat Celtic, and then they go and get beat off Inverness the next week, or Motherwell the next week, you know. That's kind of what Arsenal do, you know what I mean? They go and beat the people they're trying to chase, and then they drop points against people that they should never drop points against. Spurs seem to be the opposite of that. They seem to be relishing the position that they're in, but it might just be too little too late. I don't know if they're going to catch them. I genuinely do think Leicester are going to win. I just hope for the good of English football and the good of the Premier League that they don't go into the Champions League next year and get absolutely mauled by people. Like, if they get a Barcelona and they take 9 or 10 off them, it would be a different conversation, right?
They need to keep the players. That would be the difficult thing.
Will they?
If they win the league, I mean, people like Vardy and Mahrez.
Well, Mahrez is being linked with Barcelona already, isn't he?
I mean, to be fair, Vardy's already 28, 29, but Mahrez, I mean, they're going to have a job keeping him.
Yeah, Kante, Schmeichel, they reckon, has already agreed a deal with an unnamed club, if you believe the right sources. But there you go. Matt, who do you think is going to win? You didn't actually say.
I think Leicester will win. I think it's a two-horse race. As John said, Arsenal are bottle merchants. I think City have packed up for the season, are waiting for Guardiola. So it's a two-horse race.
I think the interesting thing on Arsenal as well is if they hadn't have won late against Leicester, they'd have already been out of it 2 weeks ago. The fact that people are even asking questions of whether they can do it or not still is crazy for me. But there you go. I think another point that John brought up that maybe could be a part of a football discussion for another day, going back to the two clubs you named of Newcastle and Aston Villa, talking maybe about reputation, talking about massive clubs going down. Aston Villa are European Cup champions. They've got that in their pedigree. Absolutely crazy that a club like that is in any danger of relegation, and unfortunately for them, I think if they do go through the trapdoor, we may never see them again in the top flight, or at least not for a very long time, the way that club is being run at the moment, which is a shame, because I've been to Villa Park before to see a game, and their home fans in the whole end are fantastic, and Newcastle, I believe, are the best supported club in England. That's my own opinion, but to see their fans be treated the way they are at the moment is absolutely disgusting. But like I said,
don't need to start me on that Mike Ashley conversation, but I mean, the podcast will go on for a long time. But I agree with you 100%. I know I've got a lot of good friends from Newcastle. Growing up in Scotland, Newcastle is kind of like the let's get away from Scotland for the weekend, go-to place of choice, and it's a fantastic city with fantastic people. They're so friendly, it's ridiculous. And you're right, they don't deserve the way they're being treated by their own board, and I think that if they go down again, they need to revolt against this guy. They have to just stop buying things, stop going to the games, stop buying merchandise where none of the money's going to the club, and really go head to head with that guy. If they go down and he keeps control of that club, I don't think we'll ever see them in the Premier League again.
Which is awful. But there you go. That's definitely a discussion for another day. And John, we may well have you back for that one, as you've clearly got a lot to say about the issue, which is brilliant. Not too much to say else in this podcast, to be honest. It's a nice little taster to get you ready for the season. Speaking of getting ready for the season, do we have a start date yet for either of the leagues?
Not an official one. There are still a few site teething issues, as there always are with new websites. We've already got sign-ups and enough players to start both leagues. So as soon as those little issues are fixed, we'll be ready to roll.
Excellent. Do we have an approximation? We're talking like a week, 2, 3, 4?
If it's not next weekend, then probably the weekend
after.
after.
I don't think it'll be as long as that. I think, I mean, just apologies on my kind of from us on that. What is important to stress is that we did a lot of work getting the website together and getting it online quickly for you. The league software that we use is quite restrictive, probably a lot more restrictive than we thought it was going to be. And I don't mind being open and honest and transparent and telling you guys that's not my domain. That's one of my kind of right hand man. Jamie would be the the back end coding expert of that business of mine. He's got a bad case of the extremely bad AIDS at the moment, so he's kind of out the game. And he's got a to-do list that's pretty big because Jamie works for me full time. He's my kind of highest paid full-time employee, and it's not often he's out the game. It's not often illness floors him, and it has at the moment. It's nothing serious. He's just got the flu or something ridiculous, but it is stopping him from doing some work. Now when Jamie can have a look at the requirements that Matt wants, I'm very confident that we can get them. If we can't, then we'll certainly have a backup plan in order for you guys to get the league started as quickly as possible. It's all about automation, right? Anything in the kind of web dev industry at the moment is automate. If you can automate as much as possible, you're going to have a much better user experience. You're going to have a much slicker administration process. It's all to do with giving you guys as less headaches as possible, allowing you to have as much fun playing the games as possible. So there's a couple of things. I don't think keep posting your suggestions and your feedback to the post on the forum. So if you've got anything you'd like to see different about the website, post it in there, post it that I started on the forum, and let's build up a little bit of a library there. Obviously Matt will need to kind of sign it off or whatever because we can't do everything, but be aware that that's there, and it's there for the purpose of you guys finding feedback.
Excellent. Well, yeah. First of all, I don't think you need to apologise. If it wasn't for you guys, the new website would not be existent, or we'd be asking questions of whether the community would be going forward or anything like that. So honestly, you do not need to apologise. But it's fantastic. It looks like we can get underway. It's fantastic to see that we could be going ahead in the next couple of weeks. So just round it all up. Is there anything you two want to desperately add before we go?
No, I think we've covered everything that we need to cover, from my point of view anyway.
Yeah,
John?
Just again, thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure speaking to you both. I'm very excited to see where the community's next step is going to be, where it's going to go, how it's going to grow and evolve. With Matt at the helm, just like to give a big shout out to Matt. And I mean, not a lot of people know this guy's been here for a very long time, doing this for a very long time, and never really had his name above the door. This site is now being administered by Matt, and I think that everybody needs to just tap a little nod in his direction, because he's been the glue that's held this community together for a very long time. When people have wavered and people had to go and do other things, Matt's been the one constant, and respect, Matt.
Thank you. You'll make me cry.
You're very welcome, my friends. Nothing else to add. Enjoy, guys. It's life's all about having fun, so enjoy your gaming, enjoy your friendships, and hopefully I get to speak to you guys again.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Unfortunately, that will go straight to Matt's head, and there will be no deflating that, but there you are. onlinegaming.community, guys, if you want to get involved. It'd be great to hear from you if you're new, and if you're not, well, hello anyway. But that's been all from me, Matt and John, and we will catch you hopefully very, very soon for the start and predictions for the two leagues that will be going ahead. So, thank you very much, and from all of us, goodbye.